Okay, I think we're live. Just want to
What's
check
up?
chat. Want to make sure everything looks okay. Looks good. Just give me just 1 second here to get set up.
Some interesting stuff going on out there for sure today.
Like what? I'm trying. I'm still sending the.
yeah, there's that,
Give me a second.
Well, it looks like the software stocks have finally stopped bleeding. So that's pretty important. Um, Bitcoin's kind of holding in. You got all the oil and gas and nat gas stocks kind of ripping because of the Iran situation, obviously. Um, you've got a lot of the um, international markets that are very dependent on, or I guess price sensitive to oil and gas and nat gas, uh, are down pretty big. Like India, Japan, Korea, the EU, UK. Um, and then there's a lot of noise.
Yeah. Okay. So this is our first stream, obviously. So I'm just kind of getting through the little roadblock here of like trying to make sure we have everything set up properly for like our future streams. But while we're here, we definitely can go over some stuff. So if there's some charts you want to look at, if there's, just go ahead and put it in chat. And that's kind of the format that we'll be using going forward. Obviously, if you see this stream, if you could give it a like, I'd greatly appreciate it. It helps get it out there with the algorithm. And leave a comment. That would be very, very, very helpful for us as we grow this channel. But anyway, we can take a look at some things very quickly. This is going to be a relatively short stream. Again, just kind of a bit of a test, but we'll still get through a few things while we're here, and then in future streams it'll obviously be a lot more structured, and in terms of what we're going to be looking at. So, I mean, we're on Nasdaq right now. I can just start there, and it's going to be a pretty relatively quick update. But like quite simply put, we're literally in a range, and we have been in a range since basically late October, early November of last year. And we obviously had your tariff move to the downside. We've had a very, very, very nice move to the upside, and now we're just basically range bound. And even on today's candle, came back down to almost basically the range low, getting a decent push up out of there. If anything, probably spend some time here. You get like a daily or weekly close below this range low here at 24K, then yes, I do think that we could see a bit of a down move. It's not really like what I necessarily expect to happen. Um, I just think that we will likely continue to be range bound for a while. I don't really see anything changing there. There's obviously a lot going on in the world. You have the whole Iran thing that kind of like kicked off over the weekend. Um, that weighed initially. You have things like Bitcoin that took a bit of a hit, and overall though, not too bad. I don't really expect anything super significant to come of that. I think maybe just to get a consolidation, turn some people out. But I don't see any like major massive. I don't know about you, Tig, but I don't see any like major massive concerns for Iran specifically, like in terms of like the market impact in the U.S. Like kind of what we're looking at now. Obviously elsewhere, which we can get into if there's specific charts you want to look at. But as far as Nasdaq goes specifically, bit of down today, but overall just range bound, and I think we just kind of continue to trade within this range for a while. What's next?
Maybe we should check some of the software. We've done ServiceNow a bunch. Maybe we should check out like Adobe or Path. Maybe.
Yeah, if I can find it. I think it's down here at the near the bottom. What is it? ADBE, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, ADVE. Yeah. I mean, in
Um,
general, it just looks like a lot of these stocks that have just been crushed by AI, maybe deservingly so, maybe a lot, maybe some of them
actually,
not.
kind of
But
interesting here. You ran this low back from your COVID low. You actually just ran that. Within the last month or so, you're getting a bit of a decent reaction off of this area. I think if you can get kind of back above this 275, you could see a bit of extension on this relief rally. But yeah, it's you literally ran your COVID low, which is a pretty this to me this is a pretty important level, and it's more why it's there, right? Like what took place around this time. So to me, it's a very important high time frame macro type level to be aware of, just because this is again, this is the literal COVID low before we saw a $700 all time high crazy move up. And then Adobe's basically been in this kind of like looking at this as a potential descending triangle. um your one-to-one of this, I mean, I'm not really like overly. I do think that this is like an important target long term, like if we see any continued weakness below here. But this definitely seems like it's in a decent kind of bounce territory, for at least a bit of a reversion. So overall trend still not the best, but I do kind of like this for maybe like a bit more upside, to be honest with you. Like, I think getting back above this yellow line here at 275, which we're very close to, give you maybe a bit of upside, maybe to like 300 or something like that. But if it can kind of reclaim this, I would say like a bullish case for Adobe is, we came back to near the bottom of this, and this triangle that I'm looking at, it kind of it can either come from here or this COVID low. I think is okay. I kind of like this one a little bit better, but kind of like the thought behind here is like, does this have legs to kind of make another move up and then to kind of like fill in this triangle a bit? Obviously, that's going to take a lot. I'm not saying it's going to take that long, but definitely you've had a lot of downside, and a relief rally, kind of some kind of reversion here does make sense off of this region. So I don't know how that would tie in. That probably ties into like a fair amount of software if you think about it. Like, because I know a lot of them have been beaten down pretty well. Um, but that's kind of my thought, like on Adobe. It's like I do think that you're at. I mean, it's not really the time to be overly bearish, considering you know like you've already had a pretty significant move down. Doesn't mean that these names are necessarily safe, like for the long term, but this feels like a more bouncy area than not. So you get
yeah, and I mean,
below,
it seems like a lot of the, some of these big, SaaS, software names have been just killed,
they've been
and
destroyed, yeah,
yeah,
and like you're good,
from
and
AI fear and
yeah,
like, but like, names like Adobe, I mean, they do have some kind of a moat. I mean, the workflow and like the data that they
yeah.
own, and basically it's not that easy for companies to just say, let's just
I think they have more of a moat than most,
get
right?
rid.
Or like
Yeah,
that a lot, like
exactly.
so. Yeah, like this is a like, and that's why like I think this actually is a decent example of one that's kind of like more of a bounce candidate, kind of off of here. Now, like if you get a weekly close below your COVID low, then yeah, I think you probably going to see lower levels. Then I could see this downtrend basically continuing, and maybe even gathering a bit more a bit more strength. Well, I should say a bit more weakness, to move a bit lower. But yeah, as long as you're above this COVID low here, which I'm going to change this just so it's a little bit easier. It's the key level. Kind of like what I would like to see is a weekly close back above this yellow line, and yeah, like I do think that you could have a reasonable move actually. Like from a technical perspective, this is not bad. I mean, this isn't the best, but I'm saying like from where we are right now, it's not. This isn't really the time, in my opinion, to be overly bearish on this thing. So it's a kind of interesting one. Yeah, which I would like basically put it back around 300 is kind of it, and then you kind of go from there level by level. But it would be kind of wild. Like I mean, I would kind of I don't know if it has enough legs to kind of have this kind of this kind of a rally, but your major resistance is likely to come at another touch of this trend line whenever that is, and it will at some point, very likely, like at some point in the future. Um, but which that to me would be a substantial. Again, if this did have enough legs to get anywhere near up here, that would probably be a very big sell for me. But here, not too bad. You're holding your call below. Okay, you did run. You did go below it. Nice bit of a spring here. Interesting. It's an interesting name. All right, we can look at a few more.
I guess in the same vein, but like a little bit smaller. Path, PATH.
Uh,
Yeah.
Not good. Not good.
Yeah,
Not
it's
good,
gotten
but
absolutely smoked.
but not terrible. I mean, here, um, yeah. I mean, you probably. Let's see. Did you run this? No. So this key level for me in 938. That's your current like all time low, right? It's your current low. You obviously had a very sizable move off of here. 100+% move, and then you literally retrace the entire thing. Um, this seems, yeah, like I would say that this is kind of a bit more, like short term. I could see a move to like back up to kind of where this point of control is around 1240, something like that. I could see this work up a little bit, but like ultimately, I think like what I would want to see is maybe we get a bit more of a bounce, and then this thing actually comes, gives you a swing failure pattern, and then that could be a nice trigger to give you your invalidation, and then look for another potential sizable move up. That's kind of my initial trade setup for that. That's basically what that would look like. It's like, I mean, you can talk more about this. Obviously, you wanted to look at this, so like, what do you like? Why are we looking at this, basically?
It's just another software stock that was killed by AI
Yeah, well,
fears, and I mean, the thing is I mean, it's cashed
uh,
up, man.
yeah,
It's
okay.
I mean, I think that I don't want to be quoted on this, but I think they have about 3 billion in cash, and their market cap is like just over 5 billion. So, I mean, not that that's I'm just
Yeah.
saying it's if there is a business left to save, like they have, it's not like they're in trouble of going to zero.
Like this to me
So
is another important level. So around $22. And this is kind of more like this support and resistance flip that you had here. So that's another one that I would kind of keep an eye on. If it does kind of work its way back up there, getting back above that would be really, really bullish. So like your 5-year pivot is sitting here at 37.69. So this is like literally your pivot for until 2030, basically. So for this channel, just to be clear, like I do have my other channel Trade Alts where I go over it's usually a lot more lower to mid-term time frame stuff in comparison to this. But for Barron Street Research, like my analysis, like I am kind of going over some lower time frame stuff, obviously. Stuff that I think could take, the next few months to play out, something like that. But obviously like the higher time frame, like you're gonna see me use kind of like higher time frame pivots. So for those of you from the Trade Alts, Discord or wherever you followed me from, it is going to be definitely a more higher time frame focus, but I will still kind of like go over some relatively lower time frame, more actionable stuff as well. But yeah, that's kind of like my initial thought is like for this one in particular, you got close to your low. What I would like to see after a big spike like this is for you to actually take your low, give you some kind of swing failure pattern. But that doesn't mean that you can't have like a decent bounce from here. Just for me, I would kind of be more in the camp of like I would feel better about taking a long myself and looking for some real upside if this low is run and the whenever that could take a while, that could take many months. It could take a month, it could take 2 months, who knows. But kind of like front running that low here and getting that bounce, that's not could it work out? Yes, of course, obviously. Like this could be like a really significant support, which it obviously is for the time being. But in terms of like looking for a trade setup that I would like that I would feel more comfortable taking personally is that swing failure pattern kind of candidate where you actually do violate this key level, but then you get a nice close above, and then quite simply your stop goes below wherever that low is, and then you're looking for some decent upside on a move like this. Like this is a really significant low, and it was obviously defended last week, right? You said by last week's candle, it was defended pretty well. Um, but I do think that if, let's say you get a little bit more up, but if we kind of work our way lower, I think that the odds of you getting that trade are actually kind of decent. So that's kind of what I would be.
It definitely looks like if this thing isn't dead, it has a chance to make a decent return for
Yeah, well, you're
people.
praying basically that like the low that you made back in April, like on the tariff move down, right? Like is your low. That's what you're hoping. Which like this again, so like this low is very relevant and very important to this overall chart because like from a time perspective and like from an event perspective, when you're talking tariff, like the tariff low, that is it, right? So like this is a very relevant, very relevant thing. So like what you can do here is just add a nice little message and have some kind of alert there, so that way if this alert, if this is tagged, then goes below, then you'll get that alert and you can be prepared for that potential trade if it happens. Or maybe we just see new lows, which looking at this chart in general, it's not the best looking chart I've ever seen. I mean, here I'll show you a little trick. If you do this, it's a great chart. Looks like you're about to, this is a great looking chart. But unfortunately, this is your reality. And yes, like I do think that we're in like you're more bounced territory than not. You see like you have a very clear area where you'd likely be wrong on that. And yes, you're right. Like you're right that you could see like some decent upside, like this range that it's been in for the last couple of years. You're very clearly near your range low, right? So if you expect for at a minimum for this range to kind of continue, then yes, you could look for some decent upside off of these levels. So, in terms of like best charts I've seen today, this probably isn't that one, and probably doesn't make, it's probably not one of the better charts that I've seen today. Like taking in context like the entire chart, but from a trade, like and from looking at, is it near major support? Could you see a bounce from it? Yeah, actually. Like it's not the worst thing I've seen, but this is, the bullish case here is like you're trying to find a low, right? Like you're trying to build a nice base of support here. And then again, the thing I will say is after a multi-year base like this, that if you do see this start to break out, which I'd be curious kind of like what some of the higher time frame stuff look like. Yeah, so here, like you came to your top of cloud. Like this is great actually. Like this is really like you came to your top of cloud, this was literally your resistance. So I think if you manage to get a weekly close, like this is really like you're in terms of looking for, a trending move to take you up out of this overall range. The first thing like that needs to happen is you need to get above cloud and actually close above cloud. Which this is just a big range, but what would change this again is at least getting a weekly close back above here. Then you can talk about a potential nice trending move that takes you up out of here. But this is a definite it's a decent consolidation. Not a terrible area in terms of where you are. I mean, if you are going to take some risk to the long side, it's like you in a chart that looks like this, this is a decent place to do that. I'm not saying take it. I'm just saying, like you are near a major low. So, and again, you're very likely wrong below this key level. But there's numerous ways to play this as well. It's like you could ladder in positions here. You don't have to necessarily take it all here. Um, but below this key level, if it's a swing failure pattern, that's the trade I get really excited about. But if it's not a swing failure pattern and you just see more weakness below here, then who knows? Who knows what could happen at that point? So anyway, anything else to add on that? I probably have time for one more.
No, no. Maybe we should do the Japan or Korea ETF.
Okay, give me the ticker.
EWJ or EWY.
Wow, yeah, no kidding. Down 9% today. Makes
Yeah.
sense, like considering the proximity. Um the I mean, wow, this is like very, very, very nice trending move. Um yeah, I mean, like you could see, on this weekly time frame, like basically this 120 area is really interesting. It just literally where your 10 kit is. Your Kijun's all the way down at $100. Like, kind of going to a bit lower time frame. Yeah. So yeah, basically like this one. If you're looking at this and you're getting your reversion right from this nice trend that you've got here, you basically, you came down to your Kijun here and you got a really nice rally off of that, and obviously like continuation. You came down to your Kijun here, you actually like closed a little bit below it, but overall again got, obviously like literally your move to the top side. So like, in terms of this, if you're looking for this trend to continue overall, you really kind of want to see this area, I would say kind of like this region, somewhere around here, um hold up, right? So like, in terms of, you have your Kijun from this, this would just be a nice mean reversion, and kind of like back into this, short range that we would, be like near the range low of this, what is probably like a week, 10 days, something like that. I'd say it's like major support, but like kind of like looking at this potential area for another bounce, like bounce slash continuation of this overall trend. So overall, this looks pretty good. Obviously, lots happened since, you know
Look at that thing.
a
It's
lot's happened.
straight up. Well, so I think 26% of this ETF is Samsung and 20% is Hynix. So it's very chip,
Ah, yeah, okay.
memory heavy, which is, obviously it's been, super hot and probably will continue to be just because of the whole AI thing and like the memory pricing. Um, so that's kind of the backstory on that one if you're not familiar with this ETF. Um, do we have time to do EWJ real quick? It's kind of
Very
similar.
quickly.
Similar story, except that one is more broad based. The ETF is a bunch of different stocks.
So yeah, so this is Japan. Very, yeah, wow. Major. So your R2 got hit at 93. It was basically your high right now. Um, kind of go to a weekly, something a little bit higher time frame. Wow. Yeah, this one is a little. It's okay. I mean, like honestly, it's still okay. It's just like, where, like already, like where's an interesting potential place, again, somewhere like around this Kijun. This Kijun's likely to rise over the next, month and a half or something like that. So does this come up to meet price? Some like, this is okay. You came up to your R2 pivot, getting a bit of a back off there, obvious again, like, you know, not bad. not bad, but the daily's a little rough.
Yeah,
Like
both of
it's
those
big.
economies
It's like
are
like insane. Yeah, pretty big move down. But you had a pretty strong recovery already. Which kind of curious. Like, how does our markets look?
yeah,
Still
we've
down,
had a pretty
bit
decent
of a
recovery
percent, but
from
like
the
yeah,
lows too.
yeah, it
But
was
yeah,
decent recovery.
both of those economy, Japan and Korea are both very sensitive to the oil and gas and nat gas prices.
Yeah,
So I think that's
I mean this
and
is pretty significant.
they've had
Like
a huge run up, so it's
yeah,
probably just some profit taking and risk off. Pretty interesting though.
this is a good one. Like this is a good one, I think, to kind of monitor. Over the next, I think you'll see some things change. On the daily time frame in terms of trend potentially, like over the next couple of weeks. And they're going to be actually this was not a. I'm kind of like pretty curious about this, kind of like how this plays out. But I mean, like the probe, kind of like your wick low of which is today's low, right? I mean, if you close your weekly candle above your Tenkin, nothing's really changed. I mean, like this is like the trend is still there. If it can kind of pick itself up and it's nothing. It's nothing wrong with that. Um, this is a pretty good washout, and it's kind of like what we talked about in terms of like pre-stream though, like when we were talking about kind of like positioning in general, and like I think that like moves like this, that kind of I would say there's some crowded positioning, right? Like this, if anything, this just kind of you're going to churn some longs out. You're going to churn some, which is totally like that's fine. Like that's not it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's like if anything, it's a good if we can build a decent base and um, you know the upside can certainly continue. It's just this is pretty normal stuff for washing people out, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, but all of this is this is a pretty good one, pretty good one. Um, oh, this one is for you. This ETF, nuclear ETF for you, Tig. Actually, I didn't go over this with you yet, but
Which one is this?
this is
NLR?
a NUKZ.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's like and honestly, it's getting it's looking decent. You're getting kind of like a nice, again, the trend is still good. You're at a pretty significant high, but I do think that if this can get a weekly close above, you can see I have like this alert set for a swing failure pattern, and we got very close to that, big, pretty decent resistance. Overall trend here looks pretty good. I think that if this is to get a close above here, then you can continue this trend. Like this is very interesting one. Yeah, look, I mean, like, and this is like again came down to your Kijun literally today. That is your low. So, and a very nice bounce off of that, which I think that again, this is kind of a bit strange. But you got your bullish, again, this is range bound for the most part, but in an overall uptrend, right? And got your bullish TK recross above cloud, two Kijun tests which have held pretty well. I think if you start, I would even say a daily close above here. I'd prefer to see a weekly, something a bit higher time frame, but you got two nice lows here. And if this does manage to kind of make new highs, and yes, like I think the trend can continue, and this could be a pretty decent one. So anyway, I thought of you when I was going through charts.
Yeah, I I like the nuclear plays. I mean, I'm not as bullish as some of the other people out there just because I don't think people realize how long it's going to take
Oh yeah,
for
yeah.
I mean it takes so long. I mean, 5-10 years. And even for the smaller, you know, um sized nuclear plants that they're still kind of in a prove it stage because I don't think any of them have really been built, but those are still more like 3 to 5 years. So we definitely need the power though. That's for sure.
So yeah, I mean, this was a pretty good test stream. I think everything functioned appropriately. I'm gonna have to watch it back to like make sure that people can hear us. Hopefully, um, but yeah, it was a nice little short test stream. We'll definitely be streaming pretty frequently from here. And I know we have a video coming out very soon, possibly today on GameStop, which I know some people have been waiting for. So that is, we did film that yesterday and go over this, but it's pretty in depth. I think you'll be surprised, kind of like the outcome of that. But we'll be, again, it's just a test stream. Anybody who watches this, thank you so much. We really appreciate. We appreciate it if you could leave a like and subscribe. That really helps our channel grow. Brand new, just kind of like getting onto the YouTube stuff now. Again for this channel, and yeah, I mean we'll see you. We'll see you on the next one. Think you have anything?
All right, man. That's it.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you
See you guys.
again. We will see you on the next stream. There's a good chance that we'll stream again before the weekends. We just got to pick a day, and then probably have some sort of consistent day that we stream from. We stream every week, but again, we'll get there. Thanks, everybody.
See ya.